So the one day I was perusing through my old woodworking magazines and came upon the Wood magazine, issue number 152 from November 2013. And it had a interesting picture of a breadboard cutting knife. So I figured, what the hell, let's give it a shot. So as with any project, we start out milling the lumber. And as you can see, this wood was a little bowed. So I had to take that bow down, but I finally got everything down to 1 3/4 inches. Oh, there you go. Then after that, it was off to the bandsaw to rip it down into 1/4 inch strips. As I was milling these down and ripping them down, I noticed that it didn't fit onto the template that I had. And then I realized that I had cut the wood too short. So in a video that I did not show, because it was just gluing more pieces of wood together, I had to stack them on top of each other, run them through the planer, take them down to a 1/4 inch, and then laminate them together. And this is the final product. I tried to alternate the grain, or alternate the wood species, to give it an interesting look. And then I sandwiched the whole thing together with a piece of maple on the outside and walnut on the other. And there were also some voids alongside of the blank that I'm using. So I used some glue and walnut shavings or walnut sawdust and pretty much just spilled that right in there and waited for it to dry and sanded it off. And then this was actually one of the crazy, but it was one of the hardest parts, is trying to get these patterns onto the blank that I'm using. And I tried everything, and then finally I decided to cut everything down to size because I've never done this before. So figured give it a shot. And off camera I made the first cut, and here are a couple of the other ones. This definitely was a good learning project for working with curved cuts on my bandsaw. Unfortunately, I do need to adjust the legs because my bandsaw, as you can tell, is a little wobbly. And that doesn't make it for a safe cut. But as any man, I didn't listen to logic and I kept going. Some of these cuts were fairly straightforward, and then some were not as easy as I expected them to be. And you could start to see the handle taking shape there at the end. And that's the handle that I'm working on right now. And now you can see, I'm starting to see the outline of what this bread knife is going to look like. And something very important is going to happen. Please pay attention. Ooh. There it goes. I got so lucky with that because when I was doing glue up earlier, I used my finger to spread some of the glue, and I actually had some glue that was hardened on the fingertip, and I got my finger obviously way too close to the blade, and it actually took off the hardened glue that I had on my fingertip, and there wasn't a nick, a cut, or a scratch on my finger. So I got really lucky. And all I did was look away for a split second, and that's how fast it can happen. So I need to pay closer attention to what I'm doing and respect the tool at all times. And since I'm not the greatest with straight lines on the bandsaw, of course I had to use my oscillating spindle sander to try and get that inside curve straight. And it took a lot of sanding, which thankfully I'm not showing every bit to you fine people out there. But believe me, it took a lot. And this was a nice, actually the spindle sander was actually the perfect size for that curve on the inside of the handle. Actually, both curves on the inside of the handle and where the blade rests. I think it looks pretty good. So I figured some of the sanding, I should be able to get all of it done with a little bit of hand sanding, and then I finally came to my senses. And as you can see, the nice red spots on that napkin there, I had another little accident, and if you didn't already know it, the sander, if you get your finger between the piece that you were sanding and the sanding paper, it will rip skin from your knuckle. So, another tip for everybody out there. And of course, it used a shop bandage. Now, I know I'm going to get hell for this, but I couldn't figure out a better way to do it because of the way the handle was shaped. Actually, I did know a better way. But right now, my router table is not in operation. So I needed to do it with a little handheld router, or palm router, if that's what it's called. And once I got the swing of things, it wasn't too bad. There were just some spots on there that I just could not reach with the router, so I ended up using the belt sander. And this is the kind of fancy belt sander that needs to be plugged in order to work. So had to sand a little bit more just to get it to the nice feel, get those corners and rounded corners nice and smooth. And then I started to figure out where did I want the blade. So at first, these blades are a little bit too long for the handle that I made. So I marked on each blade where I wanted to put the holes, and then I used my hole punch or punch tap or what. It makes a clicking noise when you push down on it. It's really cool, but it puts a dimple in the piece that you're using to help locate the center of the bit. Now I tried really hard to I went through 3 or 4 different bit sizes and finally realized that I really don't have any metal drilling bits. Pretty much just for wood and aluminum, and I honestly don't know what these blades are made out of. It's probably stainless steel. But I had to cut them a little bit short so they would fit onto the knife. And as you can see in the left-hand corner there, I sent out a survey on Instagram to see what should I use to finish this piece. And it was 33 to 66 in favor of Danish oil. And I've never used Danish oil, so of course I actually read the directions. I know it's a man thing, we're not supposed to, but I wanted this piece to turn out nice, especially after almost cutting off my finger. So then I drilled the holes into the handle, so I was able to set the blade into place. On second thought, I really should have used bandsaw for the, or not the bandsaw, and that would work really well, to use the drill press for this. But as any wood shop person, I said, screw it, I'm just going to use my drill. It came out okay, with one little hiccup later on, which, if you're paying close attention, you may end up seeing what happened. I could feel it. It's the home stretch. I'm putting the blade on, screwing it down, and it's not really going in quite right, but I got it in there, and then, oh, you son of a... Yep, broke the blade off. So here's the finished product. So let me know what you think. And please share it, give it a like, comment, and don't forget to subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And I hope everybody has a wonderful day.